whether we're live or not, which if we're not, it's okay.
We'll just
Kind of,
record and
kind of like last week when I was with Youssef.
I
So,
know.
hey, how you doing, Marcelle?
So far so good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How's your day going?
It's good. Sunshine's out and I've already edited 2 videos and this is my second live of the day and I'm just like I'm here. I'm hanging out on the internet.
Awesome. It's crazy. I mean, I was chatting with a friend of mine yesterday up there in Washington.
Yeah.
I could see how nice and sunny it was. So it was like,
It's
wait a minute, this is
glorious.
Washington. It's not
I
supposed to be nice and
know.
sunny.
Normally it's raining. It's been a gift to have some sun.
How crazy is that?
And my
So
little freckles are kind of poking out, which means I'm getting color.
that's funny. That's because you've been out in the sunshine. I'm
Hmm.
just checking. I'm just checking to see that this thing's running live, and we'll roll and roll.
It's there.
Is it there? Cool. Copy the link.
Uh, I think.
Copy the link and send it out to your peeps.
Join us.
Yes, it is. It's there right now, running live.
It's been shared. Boom.
Cool. 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 Cool.
Well, and I'm proud of you for being so innovative with Be Live and broadcasting live. I normally like record and then publish or go live and not edit. And so this is a fun new platform. So thanks for letting me join you today.
No, thanks for being here. I love
Yeah, of
Be Live. Be
course.
Live is really neat because there are lots of cool little tools that we can play with.
Hmm.
Here's one of the favorite new ones. We've got things called widgets.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I said that I was in quarantine for 14 days. We
Oh
can
my
make it 15
gosh.
days now.
Yay, quarantine.
Quarantine.
I've only been out of my house once in my car in the last, 15 days. And
Really.
it's weird. It's weird.
So, I mean, I'm from Washington. So
Mhm.
I was just wondering, how's the traffic up there compared to normal? Is there
It's
any?
empty. I mean, I don't even know because I'm not on the roads.
I
It's
think you should cruise up and down I-5 through Seattle just to see
oh
you
my
can do it.
gosh, I could probably do a loop in like 20 minutes. It'd be amazing. So fast.
That's so crazy.
But
So,
nothing's
hey,
open, so no good stores to visit, you know?
window shop.
That's right.
So yesterday I cruised around the Alamo City here a little bit because it was Easter, so I knew people weren't going to be too busy out. And with the quarantine, I knew people really weren't going to be out. So I went
Right.
down to the Alamo and got some unencumbered video or pictures of the Alamo, like so I didn't have to wait for people to not be in the way.
Yeah.
And I went to the Tower of the Americas and did the same thing. It was interesting because I'm so used to things being so busy downtown, especially
Right?
on a weekend. And I could count the people on my hand.
Yeah, it's weird.
So anyway, I decided to start calling this thing stuff you should know about digital marketing.
Yes, so many things.
There are so many things. It's such an all-encompassing parachute. I
It's
was I was
huge.
reading something yesterday that was actually talking about the history of digital marketing,
Mm.
and that digital marketing's been around for way longer than any of us think about.
Mhm.
Just now that it's on the internet, it came up with the term digital marketing.
Yeah.
Before it was TV and radio,
Yep.
and now it's internet. So it's just an evolution of things. So with that comes all these different platforms and different modes of marketing. And you're like the maven of social media. So
Thank
I
you for
want
that. Yeah, 11 years in the game, helping folks figure it out and navigate and pivot and change and make money and experiment and test and record video and watch videos. It's a never-ending game for sure.
that's so awesome. What got you started with social media marketing?
Interesting that you say that. My very first client, other than like blogging client,
Right.
was my chiropractor. I got in a car accident when I was living in Florida at the time. And my chiropractor, he's like, "Hey, you understand this Facebook stuff, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've been using it for years." And he's like, "Well, how much would you, charge to manage my accounts?" And I was like, $1,000. He's like, "You're hired." And so that was my first client. Like I didn't officially have a business plan per se at that point, and I've learned about business planning a ton since then. but it was kind of an accident. I just came from a place of service, and I wanted to help him because he was brilliant, and I've had that spirit of how do I use my creativity and quick thinking skills to help other people, and I've had an incredible career, just so many amazing people I've worked with, and that's how it started.
That's cool. And you knew your rent was paid that month too.
Yes, I was like, oh my god.
Did he charge you any more for chiropractic sessions, or did you
I
not
think
have
there
to
was a
pay
barter of sorts in that deal.
more?
But yeah, chiropractors are great.
Yeah, I work with a few too. They're pretty fun to work with. They're a unique group and unique genre of the
Yeah,
industry.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've shifted my ideal client a little bit since then, but
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
we all have, right?
Right?
So hey, so that leads into the very first true question. What exactly is social media marketing?
Great question. So I would define it as leveraging your online profiles and social networks to do good, to help people, whether that's solve a problem, buy a product, get to the phone to have a full sales conversation. But it's this idea of leveraging technology to transact business in general. I mean, it can also be done in ministry and in nonprofits and other sectors as well. But
Right.
anytime you leverage technology for good and to connect people, and marketing is really about matching. So how do you match someone with a problem to someone with a solution? And that's really where so many people are on social media. And so it's a great venue for a lot of brands to be there and to really leverage it.
Interesting.
Would you
I was
agree?
just
Would you add something different
Yeah,
to it?
no, I was just thinking. I was thinking of the do good, and I was thinking of superhero kind of things.
Yeah, sure. Well, and dreamosity is a word mash of dreams plus curiosity and generosity. So my whole premise was how do we leverage the internet for good versus just leveraging the internet, right? Because there's definitely some less than positive ways to win, and I try to steer people to do it for I don't know, a good reason.
So no black hat stuff. We won't even talk black
I
hat
know
stuff
it's there, and that's not what I sell necessarily. So
necessarily.
at all, really.
That's not what I sell.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but not one of my offerings.
That's good. So how about this? Why focus on social media at all? Why should companies actually do the whole social media thing? Um, Especially businesses that aren't online, that are not even brick and mortar. I'm thinking something like a pool cleaner or a roofer. I always fall back to roofers because my dad owned the roofing company forever.
Mhm.
Um, so what about businesses like that? Why should they focus on social media marketing?
Yeah, well, generally, if you're in business, your goal is to make money. And one of
Well,
the ways we make money is by having more customers and having happy customers. And social media can be a great place to find new customers, to entertain and educate existing customers, to really lead your industry. And I don't know if that's as important with a pool person per se, but it's a great chance to
it is in San Antonio where we have pools,
yeah. So it's a great chance to lead the industry with innovation and collaboration. Um,
right?
Occasionally, I tell people, if you don't have a good referral system right now, and if you don't have a great business model now, you probably shouldn't go on the internet, right? The internet does not solve all problems, and I think some people, and I've advised for folks, sometimes it's better to have a car wrap or to have billboards or radio, because sometimes what you're selling it warrants that. But if people are a big part of your customer experience, social media is going to help with that.
Okay, so if if you suggest doing other things, is social media actually beneficial to all types of businesses or no? I mean, in the long run. So if they've got their marketing structure already in place, they've been around for a couple of years. Um, is social media marketing something that they could use or implement into what they're already doing?
I would say yes. And there's kind of this myth around marketing that people think marketing is talking, it's speaking, it's broadcasting. And one of the best things about marketing is actually listening, to know what the problems are, the challenges, the fears of your customer base. Because if you can then serve to that, you're going to become a match, right? If it's just blast, 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 maybe not. So you've got to understand that marketing is not just about talking, but so much of it is about listening to really find out what are those underlying needs, concerns, issues. And quite honestly, most people rant quite a bit on Facebook, and they share, their celebrations and their joys, but also their pain and their annoyances. And so if you're willing to listen, social media marketing can be great, but it's not just about talking at people.
So that brings up a really good question, because
Yeah.
you sent this over and said you should ask me this.
Oh.
So I'm going to ask you this. What's the point of having a social media policy? Or what, better than that, what is a social media policy? And then what's the point of having one?
Yeah, so depending how team it gets, if it's just a one-person show, it's a little bit different. But if you've got 10, 20, 30 employees, how do you prevent them and encourage them to leverage social media in a way that helps the business, right? So for example, when my parents had their fleet of cars, 36 vehicles, did they want people, and it was a non-emergency medical company, did they want people, posting to Facebook when they're driving the car? No, because it's legal in Washington state, right? So there are
I think
things
it's illegal everywhere.
sometimes need to be stated as, potential grounds for termination. It's like, do you really want certain employees or team members saying things online, whether it's behind your back or on your page, or like there's so many ways that you could really hurt a brand's reputation with social media. And the social media policy kind of focuses the teams and the employees to align, to have a similar set of values, and knowing what those expectations are so they don't hurt everything the CEOs work so hard for. And it really just kind of gives you a guideline so you can show up in your best way.
Sure. Is there a way to monitor that on their personal accounts, or is this just talking about
Yeah, I would
the
say
company
both.
account?
I would say both. From a hiring perspective, I know that a lot of times people don't get hired for what they've posted on their social media, and it's like, well, you think that they would have learned that from so many articles being posted about it. But I do think that your personal profile is a reflection of your company and your career, and people. It's kind of sticky for a lot of industries, but having that policy can really clarify your expectations of your team.
Got it. That makes sense. I mean, because I've got some relatives that have in the past posted some interesting things while they were in college.
Yeah.
And I told them at the time, females, by the
Yep.
way, which, don't want to bring the gender thing in, but there is that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they were posting some rather provocative photos. And I'm like, you really need to pull those down. Well, no, I was showing how good of a time I was having. I was like, yeah, but you really should pull those down.
Yeah, the internet lasts for a long time.
Yeah. And, they're still there. And I know she's missed out, this particular kid has missed out on a few higher job opportunities because it's like, we checked out your Facebook page and
you're not a fit. Well, and that's so many large corporations are really working on the culture of their brand. And if someone doesn't fit with that culture, it doesn't matter if you can type fast or if you know how to code or if you know all the the smart things. If you're not a good fit, that leadership team might see you as a liability versus an asset based on some characteristics. So
for sure,
it's something good to help kind of protect both sides.
Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure. No, I appreciate it. I'm just so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Marcelle.
Thank you.
It's been so long.
I know.
So Marcelle and I,
we go way back.
We go back quite a bit. While I was up in Washington a few years ago, taking care of some family matters, and we met on a hike.
Yeah.
With Rosario with one
Merrily,
of my
right?
World, yep, Merrily. Yeah. And at the time, of course, being me, I went out and ran it a couple of times, and then I met you guys.
That was a long hike too. I remember that.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun. That's such a pretty area.
Hmm.
So where are you, Marcel? So people can kind of put this into an idea. I mean, I'm in San Antonio, one of the big cities in the country. You can kind of
Yeah.
find it on the
Yeah.
map. Where are you?
Well, and normally I'm in my co-working space up in Linwood, Washington at Inspire Co-working, but with COVID, I'm working from my kitchen table in Bothell. So it's not as I don't know, as cool as a backdrop as I normally would. But yeah, Linwood, just 20 minutes north of the Seattle area. And with that being said, though, I've served people in all over, right? Whether it's in my local area or if it's California or New York or Europe even, right? And with the internet,
Sure.
we get views and my clients get views from all over the world. It's not just the Pacific Northwest, although
Yeah.
that's kind of my home area. Love
But
it.
that's the cool part about the internet is you don't have to work with clients
Yeah.
where you are. In this realm, I mean, if you've got a service business or a brick and mortar type of a business,
Hmm.
obviously things are a little more local.
Sure.
But if you're promoting something that's either not tangible, software or a
Hmm.
course or something like that, the internet is great. But the internet's also really strong for small businesses, also, even within their own area. So I was curious then, and I'm gonna admit I
Yeah.
cheated. I've pre-populated some of these questions. So when you see me glancing over here, I'm just looking for the appropriate question to throw
You're
in that
like,
keeps.
what's my transition gonna be? You're fine.
Well, it's like, okay, well, she stepped over into this topic. Is this okay? Where's that question? Because I can see like five of them, but they're only so wide, right? So I could
Well,
do
there's
something
so
like
many
this.
ways.
Yeah. So like here, is social media marketing important for small businesses? And I mean, I'll let you answer it. I know my answer.
I would say yes. I mean, the benefits of social media, they help for SEO, they help for, just generating leads, building brand awareness, it helps for building reputation, whether it's reputation management or establishing credibility as a new, thought leader or, someone who's really motivated to make a difference in their space. So I would say absolutely.
So with that, because we've got all these cool new tools in social media, and I'm thinking for the moment, because I'll ask you in a second about some other stuff, but just Facebook in general.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on automated bots and things like that when people go onto a business page and that somebody can't respond to you in like a half a second, and all of a sudden there's a little pop-up in the right hand corner saying, "Hey, Joe," because it's all built in, and the
Mhm.
algorithms on Facebook know who's online, and it personally greets you and immediately starts asking you questions. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, I think people are pretty smart and they can tell when it's a bot versus a real person. I do encourage folks to leverage automation when they're ready for it. And it's still, I mean, social media, the word social media, it's about being social with the media. So for me, it's always how do I get them on the phone or how do I get them someone, whoever it is, to actually talk to them, whether it's, Skype or Zoom or on the phone. So it's still about being social. And I think automation can help you sell a lot when you're ready for that, but
Okay,
most businesses aren't ready for major automation from day one, I would say, because they don't know their own sales process. They don't know their own method to how people can best, find them and learn from them. So I don't currently do a ton of that with folks. I'd love to learn more. I might be an ostrich on some of the, how much bots can do,
right.
and I'm not a big email marketer. I know it's huge, and everybody in my industry says build your list, build your list, build your list, and I'm like, I have a list of over 5 million people from Facebook groups, right? So for me, my lists come in communities, not in direct access to everyone, but I know where people spend their time. So for me, it's more about socializing with the communities that already exist and or creating new communities for people to kind of play and collaborate in, other than just blasting thousands of people with the same thing. And I know I'm
Sure.
probably leaving money on the table there, but that's not been my main goal. I mean, it's a goal, but it's not the only thing driving me. So much of what I do with my clients is custom, and so
Right.
automation kind of like it just I haven't figured out how to be super creative and encouraging at that level, at scale like that. So to me,
Sure.
it's
So
not
what
central.
I heard in there too is I should do a video on the importance of email marketing.
I could probably use that. And I've been told, my sales coach has told me for years you should do email marketing because there's leverage in that. And I've just never had the same message because, again, with Dreamosity, I'm not just helping people sell stuff. I'm helping them build their dream online, whatever that looks like, whether that's get 2,000 a month or 10,000 a month or to help a million people. Not all the goals are the same. So for me, it's about the dream, and to send 500 people the exact same thing, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know. I'd rather get on the phone and talk to them. And I know I'll be bigger and I'll need email, but
Don't they have some commonality though? Isn't there an baseline commonality between all these people? I know we're going off topic, but I'm just having you think a little bit. It's like
yeah.
you've got that many contacts. If you separated those out, your communities separated them into their own little lists,
Mm-hmm.
you could market to those people as they need to be marketed to, not just as one on one.
Yeah.
But that group, a group has a commonality,
Yeah.
so and common interests. So
yeah. Oh, and I know you can retarget to people in Facebook groups. I don't do that currently in any campaigns. I know it's an option out there, and I just haven't been leveraging that.
That is a topic I am going to do too, because
I will show up for that video, Brian. I will show up.
people ask about that all the time. It's like, how is it that all these ads keep following me? How do they know where I am? It's like, well, there's this neat little thing called a pixel. A what? Yeah, we won't get into that. But they follow me on my phone, and they follow me on my laptop, and they follow me on my tablet and iPad. I'm like,
Yep.
uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I do believe that advertising, it can be used to really blow up a message and to get more people to know about it and to really become a fan, because we need to hear or see something a couple dozen times sometimes, unless we're buying bananas or beer. We need we need to really learn about that thing, and advertising can help us do that. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what did you send over to me?
So after a couple of years ago, I created this really cool infographic of all the moving pieces in a social media campaign. So there's the discovery deck right here, yes, which is
okay.
And there's more to this. But
it's this, isn't it?
Yeah, Brian has the physical card deck. That's right. Yeah, back with my old logo. Well, and when I started Dreamosity, it was literally after a corporate job, and I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, isn't there a company out there that's all about building dreams? It can help somebody build a dream for someone. He's like, no, honey, get a real job. And I was so deflated in that moment. I was like, darn it, I'm going to start a company where I can help people build their dreams. And it's morphed into, and this is my first deck. I actually now have one around financial joy and all the moving pieces of finances and real estate. But this one here is all about, I brainstormed this after I helped scale Les Brown from 35,000 fans to 100,000 fans in 6 months, which to me was like, oh my gosh.
So people have an understanding how big of a deal you really are.
Yeah,
You helped who market?
Les Brown, motivational speaker, scale his brand from 35,000 fans to 100,000 fans in about 6 months. And he was a referral, Brian, right? So again, if you don't have a referral, no, from someone else. But again, back to business 101. If you don't have a referral system or strategy in place, the internet may not be ready for you, right? Anyway, I had that major success and then moved back to Washington State, and I was like, oh, why can't I get some people to get 100 fans? Like, what is missing? And so this deck, I brainstormed one night just on a bunch of note cards to brainstorm, what are all the moving pieces that someone could leverage to build a successful social media campaign. And the other graphic I sent to you is a matrix measuring audience size and perceived expertise. So this one here on the left, you can see it's perceived expertise.
I'll just pull them both up. How about if we just do?
You can do that.
Bam and bam.
That works. So on the left, you see perceived expertise from rookie to MVP, right? So Les Brown was an MVP. He had been in the game for 30 years before I even got to touch his brand. Someone who's been in the in the game for a year, they might be a rookie. They don't even have their business cards yet, perhaps. And then on the top, I'm measuring audience size. So right now we're 1-to-1. We're also broadcasting to Facebook, so there might be 5-10 people watching as well. But what happens in stage 1 with under 100 people is a lot different than happens in stage 5 with over 100,000 people, right? So the elements of a great campaign at different stages of the business, you need different tactics.
Okay.
On day 1, you don't need advertising because you don't actually have probably a digital product to sell, right? Most people don't. They haven't created a course. They haven't created a solution that thousands of people are going to need because they're still, quite honestly, just trying to figure out who they are and what their tagline is. And so at that point, you don't necessarily need all those pieces. But over, my last 11 years of doing this, there are different tactics at different stages of this, depending if you want to go up or if you want to
Right.
go over, right? So I often say random is rookie and intentional is impressive. And if you're right now kind of your social media is kind of random, you're like, I don't know if it's working. It's because you're new at this, right? You're like
Sure.
a JV marketer. You don't know all the pieces that are going to work for you. And as you learn, as you test and fail and test and fail and test and fail, you can learn how to systemize, how to automate, how to leverage, collaboration and people in your network and advertising campaigns and all these other kind of more exciting things that we really don't get to do on day 1. But again, my whole goal of creating all this is to help people dream. So I often say with folks, where are you now and where do you want to go? And most people, honestly, they don't want to get to stage 5. That scares the daylights out of them. They don't want to be a celebrity. They don't necessarily want to have this huge brand. They just want to get to, again, $10,000, $20,000 a month in revenue or whatever that goal is.
Does that change though? Do people occasionally go, well, I mean, just through evolution, it's like, oh, well, there's not a lot of difference between stage 3 and stage 5. It's kind of the same thing as making, it's harder to make $1,000 a month than it is to make $10,000 a month. Same kind of idea.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage folks to dream again all the time. Sometimes someone will say, my dream is to make a video because that scares me, right? But then we've done 12 videos. That's going to be a new dream.
Sure.
And as they see other marketers and other business owners network and do great things and get into the news or a lot of accolades, they're like, oh, I could do something like that. So I encourage people to watch for great things that are truly remarkable. See how could you leverage that idea in your own campaign, in your own creativity, right?
Yeah.
So not that I want people to steal from one another, but I think we can borrow some of this amazing intelligence that's out there and leverage it for our local communities or our online, space.
Sure.
And that's where it's like, it's not just about making money and garnering sales. It's what is the dream? And then thinking about what is the dream of your audience? Because what are they dreaming about? Even right now, and everyone's stuck at home, it's like, what are people dreaming about? How could you serve them and support them and maybe even sell to them?
So you're talking about avatars?
Sure.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you need to figure out who your ideal client is.
Yeah.
And you're saying not to be scattered, so we're talking nichifying a little bit, becoming a little more narrow focused. If you're going to do these two things, well, if you're going to nichify, you need to know who your niche or niche is. There's your avatar. So that's kind of what
Well, and I often encourage folks to, they're going to serve probably 5 to 25 online communities where they might have niche or target audiences in some of those, right? So whatever the ideal client is, they might find them in these 5 different online communities where they can really reach out to them, serve them, support, engage, and then generate a lead from there. So it's not always being too niche down, because I think that can hurt folks sometimes.
Sure.
If you can serve them in multiple ways, why not serve them in multiple ways?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, so are you saying that it's okay to pop into other groups and kind of look for people within those groups?
I would say it's always healthy to serve, support, and eventually sell, right? So I don't think it's good to jump in a group and just drop your, whatever widget you're selling. But if someone's saying, oh my gosh, I need a great video editor, who do you know? And you get tagged or you drop your portfolio in there, why not, right? The whole idea is being social with the media. So And I think that's what's tricky for people, if they don't like to sell, and if they think social media is a waste of time, it's like, well, it's about matching. And if you match someone's problem with your solution, you're being of service. And I think that is absolutely okay.
That's a really, really good way to put it too. Is
Mhm.
looking for somebody who you can help
Yeah.
rather than who can I make money off of today.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and I think I don't know. I've been around this for a long time, as you know.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I've gone through those evolutions and changes. It's like, okay, I
Hmm.
need the money, I need clients now, and now it's like, okay, I like the clients.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say no if somebody wants to just come to me, but how do I best serve them? How do I help them actually get something they don't even know that they want?
Yep. And
A lot
that's
a lot of times that's what it is.
Well, and that's where people often come to me thinking, I just need somebody to post to Facebook for me. And I'm like, that's yes, you need that. And you also need like a strategy and a system and a vision that people will care about. So many times people go onto social media without a vision. And I'm like, well, let's start there. Because you can't just show up and like, thousands of dollars fall out of the sky and into your lap. That's not
Now,
how it works.
would you say that that's what this is helpful for then?
Yeah, because then I'll ask them, well, what is your problem? And then any one of these things will likely become a solution to that. So if you were to give me any problem today, I could refer you to two or three of these things and say, start here. Right?
Okay, let's do a pretend.
Okay.
Okay, let's say I'm a new company. I've already got a logo built. I've already got like I'm not going to say I have a website built because I'm going to lead into that here in a second. I don't have a good headshot, and I don't have a good um, what's the word?
Cover cover photo.
Cover photo. Thanks. Um, but I do have kind of a funnel, not a really good one,
Hmm.
referral kind of things. And I started doing some videos online. Okay, so I've got a logo. I know how to do funnels a little bit, and I've got some videos on YouTube. What can we do with that? What would be the direction?
So I would want to know about their vision. I would want to know, is there a community that they serve, whether in the sky or locally in that that zip code. The bottom right item on there is checklist. I would ask them, what are you doing on a daily basis on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram? I would find out what are they doing now, and from that answer, I'm going to find tons of gaps. Because again, a lot of people just post and they don't listen, or they listen but they don't post, or they share articles but they don't have any of their own thought leadership, right? So depending on, I would ask a few more questions. The whole not having a headshot thing, my answer to that is, well, random is rookie and intentional is impressive, and people tend to believe you more if your headshot is fantastic, and if you have a selfie in the bathroom, it's like they're not going to be paying you thousands of dollars for consulting or whatever you're doing if you look like a hooligan. Yes, I said it. It's hooligan.
I like it.
So to
That's
me,
funny.
they're worth it. And I'm not saying you need to spend thousands of dollars here, but $250 to $500, you can get a phenomenal headshot to give you that edge of being more professional, more polished than,
So
again,
you're saying don't grab the selfie stick and don't stick your phone on there and have the shoulder, have the whole length of your arm in the
I
picture and
mean,
all
you
that.
got to do what you got to do, but there's a point in business where you need to invest in a team, right? And that's really what's happened at this point. There's things that a business can't do by themselves. We need graphic designers, we need photographers, we need web developers, we need strategists, we need people who can write sales copy, and that most people can't do all those things, and they don't know what it would look like, or how to go find out what the competition is doing to see how they're going to actually have to compete.
Yeah.
Um, so many people say, well, social media, it's all about collaboration. And I'm like, yes, it's also a competition, right? Like we all have competition out there. And one of the ways you can impress people and do more is by, again, doing the things on here. If you have one video on YouTube versus 16, right? Looking at how can you leverage a YouTube playlist as a part of your sales funnel so people can get to know you and love you and trust you through a series of videos. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to watch one video and magically give you all my money. You've got to help them understand what they're actually buying.
Sure. So you mentioned that, and I know I've got that in my list, but I'm not even going to bother popping it up.
That's okay.
Yeah. Explain what a video playlist is and its significance, and how how you should segment out videos to
Yeah.
fit into those.
So I often tell folks you don't have to create the video to leverage the video. So a video playlist can be videos you created or that somebody in your industry or across the country created. So if you're trying to be of value to people and serve them, you don't have to say what's already been said. You can just explain, here's what SEO is all about. Boom, put that in a playlist. If you like my help, here's how I can help you, right? So, and then it's interesting um, on YouTube's homepage, you can have up to 10 playlists showcased. And this is where a lot of people have one. And I'm like, oh, there's all this digital real estate that they're not leveraging because they don't have their video content organized in a way that's useful for the average consumer. And it just, to me, it's such a simple thing to add value so people can be like, wow, you've really helped me out. I'm going to work with you. I like you because you've done these things. You've made it easy for me to decide.
Right? Is that something you do, or is that something that you just teach people how to do on their own?
I do both. So I've got, my Dreamosity brand is done for you. Developing Digital You is kind of a DIY. So I have a big community of do-it-yourselfers that I'll teach them. We'll do, webinars on how to, what to, and why to, and then we can do feedback, that type of thing.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That's cool. It's just sometimes people want different things, and is it is it saving them money, or is it saving them time when they want to do a DIY versus working with you directly in that?
It depends, right? If they're not making much money, they need to do it themselves until they have enough revenue coming in where they can build a team. Ask me that question again. My brain, I was going to go somewhere else and I just got distracted.
That's okay. No, I was asking about about people's reason for doing done for or DFI or done DIY. Well, you know what I mean. If they do it for themselves versus having
let's say my car breaks down and I go out there and I try to fix it by myself.
Okay.
How long am I going to sit there on the road if I don't just call a mechanic or call someone to do it for me, right?
Well,
so
honestly, if you were broken down on the side of the road, I'd probably just stop.
Someone would stop and help me. But if I were to sit there trying to fix my car with who knows what was wrong with it, it could take me hours, days, right? I could never get back on the road. But if you have an expert right there with you, things can move so much faster. So the same way is true with social media. You could spend for years doing it by yourself, trotting along, and there you are, you got 75 fans, and you're like, well, social media doesn't work. No, you just don't know how to leverage social media. Like it doesn't always work the first month. I would agree with that, right? So it can take a lot of time. At the same time, I've seen campaigns make 40 grand in the month when, I thought it took a year to make that much before I had seen that happen, right? So the internet can collapse time in a way that, a billboard can't.
Sure. So. And the difference there too is you can actually target your message on social media versus a billboard, which always brings up that question, kind of going back to having those sub niche groups that you're finding from other groups that you're in, versus doing the whole shotgun approach like a billboard would.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cover photos.
Well, for people who aren't a brick and mortar, it's kind of like that. It's a glimpse into your business, and people will either find it attractive and interesting, or they'll be like, I don't need one of those. So it's like window shopping, right? If that cover photo is attractive and inviting, you're going to potentially get business. People might dive in deeper and look at your other ones. I've often compared the cover photo to a billboard in the virtual sky, right? So and this is something that I'm even still working on getting the perfect rhythm down, but that can lead to the top of your sales funnel, right? So whatever you're selling, whatever your offer it is, whatever your new campaign or, big blog ideas, whatever it is that you're really excited for people to know about, that blog cover photo could totally be leveraged to get the word out. And so many brands don't do that well. And it's kind of sad because I'm like, oh, like
Do you go onto these platforms and just look and go, I want to help you so bad?
all the time, all the time. Like, I need to figure out how to professionally rant better because I don't like just judging people because I want them to dream. I want them to win. And it's really, really, really hard because I'm like, oh, did you just post that?
It's so fun. I do the same thing with websites and with ads. I look at an ad on on Facebook or on Google or something like that, and I'm laughing. It's like, I want to help you so bad. You need the help so bad.
Yeah.
But then you kind of look and go, can they afford it?
Yeah, and a lot of people can't, right? And that's where the DIY stuff comes in. And there's tons of free resources online. If people really wanted to figure out, they probably could. It just might take them 20 hours instead of, a couple grand here and there.
So, you've either got time or you got money, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask this about the platforms, because I've read and I've seen different things and different ideas from different people.
Sure.
Okay, we know that there are like 1 million platforms out there: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat. What's the new one? TikTok.
Yeah.
What should businesses, because that's primarily who we're having a conversation with, what should businesses focus on, and how many? Should they pay attention to a bunch of them? Should they pay attention to two?
I think every business has to decide, and the way they can do this, is by listening to their customer base, right? If you're serving a bunch of 13 to 17-year-old girls, I don't know that answer because I'm 37, right? So whatever you would ask me is I use, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube. And that's what I help people leverage with social media because those are platforms I know how to make money on. I don't do Twitter because I've never made more than $10 with Twitter. So why would I offer you, Mr. Businessman, a great Twitter profile and all these things if I haven't figured it out? And I think it's an annoying platform, right? But that's just me. I'm a very visual creature. So something like Instagram or Pinterest is a lot more in my space. But again, if you're selling car parts, Pinterest might not be relevant for you. So I think each business owner really needs to listen to their customers when they either walk in that front door or when they're on the phone with them and find out where are you spending time. If you're starting to hear all the buzz about TikTok, fine, dive in, check that out. So there's multiple ways to success. And that's where on my platform, where are the eyeballs? Right? When MySpace was big, right? Like 2 decades ago, that was the place for people. And then it was Facebook. And now people are saying potentially there's other spaces, but where are your people right now? I think if you need to find that out first and then go play where they're hanging out.
Sure. And do you think Facebook is now where all the adults are?
I've heard that and I disagree.
Okay.
I know teenagers that use it, right? I know young adults that use it.
So again, Facebook still has relevancy to younger generations.
Well, and honestly, Facebook's advertising platform is so powerful as you can target any younger one by any of their, third-party platforms, that whether it's Facebook where they're engaging or they're actually going to some other, through some other funnel, it's still got the best platform that I know of in terms of targeting, right? I don't know if TikTok has that built in. I think Twitter tried. They never got my money, but it doesn't mean they didn't get other people's money, right? It just goes back to matching.
I'm with you. I've tried Twitter. So I started building sites in '97, and I've been ahead of the curve on everything. Yeah. And I've known marketers since there weren't no marketers; they were just people. Mm-hmm. And I remember Ryan Dice posting something on MySpace saying, "Hey, you ought to check out this new platform called Twitter."
I believe Ryan was there.
what's this Twitter thing? And so I started trying to market it, and I couldn't explain because it was brand new. It's like, well, it's real time conversations, and you tweet things out, and they're like, tweet? Um, I don't want to be a tweeter. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, no,
So
I tried for a while and then eventually it never clicked. And so it's like, why would I offer that as a service if it's not something I've,
yeah,
mastered or at least garnered skills in that
yeah.
would be useful? So it's not one that I do for folks.
So Yusuf, though, with that, because it just popped into my brain about Twitter and
Yeah,
hashtags.
yeah.
Yusuf has this thing about not being a hash hole. What? I don't
It
know
doesn't surprise me, Yusuf.
don't be a hash hole. What are your thoughts on hashtags and creating hashtags and using them or overusing them, or can you overuse them?
Yeah, so to me, the power with a hashtag is anytime you're leading the conversation, right? And most folks, unfortunately, aren't. They're just participating in the conversation. But I think that the real power is when you're leading the conversation and you're creating um, new hashtags, right? So when I work with my clients, they look at what are your industry hashtags, what's the brand's hashtags, what are your personal hashtags, what are your region's hashtags, what are the things that you've created, right, around the thought leadership. And there's one, oh, your competition, right? So you need to look at hashtags from all those moving pieces. You can't just be like hashtag awesome and expect to like make money. Like, well, when you're talking to 5 million people, it's almost too big of a bucket at that point. So there needs to be these little kind of clusters of interest within that where people are like, I can learn more about you or follow more of that perspective. And
Right.
most people don't have that dialed in, and so it can be tricky for a business.
So how do they discover hashtags that are pertinent to them then? I mean, if so, part of your targeting, like you mentioned before, zip codes,
Hmm.
industries,
Hmm.
customer interests, things like that. How do you search for hashtags that fit into those, into your immediate market? And then how do you create a good hashtag out of thin air?
Oh
Something
my
that
gosh.
actually is something
So
that you use.
shout out to Michelle Mazer of the Three Word Rebellion, and this is what a book she's written, and she talks about creating a three-word rebellion. So I think some of the best hashtags are three-word rebellions. Things like um, I don't even have great examples right now, but like really. And again, this is more thought leadership than actual small business, but things that are catchy, things that people can say, that they can chant, that they can also bring on if you're trying to get thousands of followers to get on with you. If it's a local small business, it's a little bit different. So, but to me, like people often with social media, I ask them, are you on offense or defense today? Right. So if you go into Facebook or Instagram and you're searching out different hashtags to find new people to connect with, you're either on offense looking for, say, 5 new conversations that you can contribute to, or if you're on
Mhm.
defense, you just randomly read the stuff in your own feed. Right. So most people are being on defense. They're just showing up, posting, logging off, right?
Spectators.
They're not networking, they're not listening, they're not finding 5 people that are in that conversation, whatever that hashtag is, or whatever that cause is. They're just randomly talking to their current network. And I think that's why so many brands are not winning with social media is because, and again, this is one of my beefs about the network marketing space. It's like if you keep selling to the same 44 people over and over and over again, no one wants it, right? If you're not finding success with them, you either find new communities, new people, or a new product. Let's be honest, not all products are going to work on the internet.
That's true. That's true. There's a good friend of ours that I've had
Mhm.
many conversations with about network marketing,
Mm,
and the people within her organization. And it's like I will notice one post, and then from 40 other people the identical post, and every time I tell her, and she agrees.
yeah,
Like, I tell these people to change the post, make the posts their own, but it's literally the same post
yeah.
from a different person. And one comment, she goes, well, it means you're following a lot of my people. I'm like, well, yeah, I am, because we're friends, but they're all saying the same exact identical
Yeah.
story, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and the challenge with like a network marketing business, so I was taught early on that there's 7 key things to run a successful business. And for network marketing, you really only need the sales and the leadership piece. Whereas if you're running another business, you need marketing, you need product
Yeah.
development, you need customer service, you need financial management, you need operations and admin. And so when you're trying to organize all those things, it's a lot different to run a business than if you're just having to get people in front of a product to make a decision. And honestly, that's why most network marketers fail, is they don't have the sales piece. Like, they may have the leadership and the vision and the goals, but they might not have the ability to create marketing and a little bit of just, I don't know. Yeah. Next question.
Well, it goes back, and I've told people in all businesses, I don't care if it's network marketing or if you work for Denny's, I don't care.
Mhm.
You need to do your own. You need to be your own brand. You need to
Yeah.
be your own person. And I'm actually going to chat with another friend of ours
Mhm.
next week about
Oh,
about
good.
branding.
Good, good,
Yeah,
good. Oh, that's fantastic.
you know who I'm talking about. I'll put this all together this week, but you
Oh,
already know who
good.
I'm talking about, without knowing just even that hint. But of becoming your own brand, and the more you become your own brand, the more people will actually listen to the things that you're selling
Mhm.
than listening to that brand of the product that you're selling. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
important for people to have a connection.
so when you sent me an email a couple days ago, there was something in your list of things that I think I know what it is. And you know what I'm going to ask? What the heck is an instructographic?
You said it right. An
I mean, it's
instructor
obviously
graphic.
like three different words put together.
Yep. So on my big graphic, my discovery deck, there's a couple things I created, new words, because they weren't being said. So on the bottom left, you can see instructor graphics, and
Okay.
infographics are very popular. They're very big on Pinterest, and they're great, but they're just information. The benefit of an instructor graphic, it's instructions in graphic form. So think of the tall, beautiful graphics where it's like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and it's an instructor graphic. And this is something I encourage folks to create when they're wanting to develop thought leadership. Because again, to just share out articles that some other website is creating doesn't develop your thought leadership, right? In terms of what are you teaching. And so instructor graphics could be used for like how to use a certain product, how to register for an event, how to understand what my process is with customers, right? Like, once you have that time and that knowledge, you can really create them where they serve. And then from a Pinterest perspective, you can get massive traffic if you're
Really?
adding a lot of value to your industry. And that's, again, it's like, who are you adding value today, to your current customers, to your community, or your industry? And the opportunity we have with the internet is to elevate any industry based on the content we're producing, right? It's not just SEO for SEO's sake. It's how do we actually lead the conversation where we make a difference for people.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah. And I wish more people wanted to make these. No one walks in and says, I want to make one of those, because they don't know what it is yet, right? So that's why I wanted you to ask that.
when I saw that, and you're like, well, make sure you ask me this. I'm like, oh, how do you pronounce it? Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's funny. No, that's cool. It's one of those things. I just never think about Instagram or Pinterest. I know I should.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are a lot of people that I follow and that I collaborate with that are on both or
Mm-hmm.
either one, and I don't know. Pinterest, I don't know how I would work out on Pinterest. I know I could on Instagram a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Well, and it's kind of like going to two different types of bars, or two, like, one, a cocktail party versus a rough and tough bar. Like, they're different energies, and Pinterest is a lot more aspirational, right? So when we're there networking, I say I'm referring to the female mentality in general, but we are planning, that new kitchen, or the next wardrobe, or the next book, or the next party, or so. Like, we are in a very planning mode most of the time, and so we're gathering ideas for a future time. And that's where, depending on your sales process and a business's how they serve, when you're on Pinterest, it's for a future event. People aren't buying today necessarily, and that's where you have to kind of understand the psyche of who's shopping or pinning on Pinterest.
Sure.
But I know some brands who get 20 to 40% of their website traffic from Pinterest.
For real.
Yeah, huge
And
amounts of traffic.
that's not like just like Etsy sites and Shopify
Yeah,
sites.
this can be blogs. I mean, I remember that $40,000 Pinterest contest I was referring to before. It was a life coach. She didn't even have a physical product. She was a thought leader in her space, and we did this huge, cool contest because we were marketing wisdom. We were marketing advice in a very visual form. It wasn't just a text article. I feel that just text articles alone do not stimulate our intellect all the time.
Sure.
I mean, they can, but as a very visual kinesthetic person, they're not my cup of tea, right? Like, I want you to show me and tell me, and show me and tell me again. I want to see it, and that's really where the power of the Instructor graphic can be.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to chat with you more about that on my own. Just to,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and I feel like graphic designers and web developers could really be selling more onto, because most people, it's like you build the website and then they're like, the client's like, well, crap, now I need traffic, right? So how do you get traffic other than ads? You need to have remarkable content where people are sharing it. And the bigger audiences you serve, you can have thousands of kind of built-in salespeople when you're doing it right. And that's the thing. I think that's why I clinched before the black hat SEO stuff. It's like, if you're just trying to get backlinks, that is not raving fans. A backlink is not a raving fan, right? So getting people to love who you are and love the stuff you create is very different than being found from some crappy article in some other space, right? Like, I understand the concept of SEO, but if you don't understand, I don't know, that connection to the social piece, people are often leaving money on the table.
Yeah, and you never want to do that. Leaving money on the table is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we wrap this up a little bit, I just was wondering, how can people get in touch with you? Is this the best way people can find you?
Yeah, definitely. Dreamosity.com. You can send me a friend request on Facebook. I'm very social. People tend to socialize with me for a year or two before they actually hire me for anything. I don't know why that is.
How do they find you? What do they look for you on Facebook?
So Marcelle Allen, if you're not already connected with me, or Dreamosity. If you're into the DIY stuff, developing digital you could search that, because I teach folks to, imagine if they could outmotivate, outtrain. Not at Marcelle Allen. Well, I guess
No?
not like on Twitter or on Instagram.
Damn.
But that's try at Dreamosity. But I would say imagine if you could outmotivate, outtrain, outsell, and out entertain based on your digital platform. How much more profitable or generous could you be? And that's where I really want people to think about, could their digital platform, like even right now, Digital Brian and Digital Marcelle here, can we motivate, educate, entertain, and sell more based on our digital footprint than we could with our individual, physical self?
Sure.
And that's where our digital platform can really leverage, or can help us explode some of our goals, around contribution or even profit. So
Cool. You're
thank
so
you.
awesome.
Oh,
You're
thanks,
so
Brian.
awesome. I'm so glad we were able to do this and learn from you. There was so much that I learned.
Good.
Yeah, and we're going to have to chat some more. I'm sure we could have another conversation and go over a whole ton more stuff, because you kept mentioning, and we don't need to go into it in huge detail, but give a little synopsis or summary of what thought leadership is, in your opinion, because you've dropped that phrase, and I know you well. You've dropped that phrase many times.
Yeah, so a thought leader, and in general on Facebook, there's followers, right? Or any social network, there's followers. Why would someone follow you? And if it's just to buy your product, that's not enough. So thought leadership goes beyond, whether it's around motivational or education or entertainment, or, what's your unique point of view in the world? What is that personality, that vision? And it's really about vision, right? Because if I say, hey, come follow Dreamosity so I can help you build your dreams, that's very different than saying, hey, come follow so I can do your social media management for you, right? So to have a a vision and a perspective that's worth following is really important for any brand online. Whether you're selling cars or collaboration, it's like you need to have a reason for people to follow you.
Sure.
And you've got to stay interesting with that, because there's the unfollow button where we can very easily unfollow people. And if you don't have a perspective that's worth following, people bounce out really quickly, because there's a lot of great people right now just winning the internet that we could go follow them. Right. So to have that thought leadership is going to help you, motivate and sell and know what your clients are up to, so you can really serve them and give them something that keeps them coming back for more.
Right. And the more you give them, the more they come back, and the more they come back, the better a client you have, and the less you have to sell as
Right.
far as the selling process goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marcel, for hanging out with me today.
Thank you.
I look forward to doing it again.
Sounds good.
And just keep that smile. I
I
love
will.
your smile. Your
Thank
smile's
you.
so
Thank you.
awesome.
Well, and to you, I'll say stay remarkable, because you do great things already, and I just want to encourage you to stay remarkable, because you're already remarkable.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look forward to chatting with you again.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.